For my first stint of making videos on YouTube, I was almost solely focused on Roller Coaster Tycoon and theme park games. And while I honestly haven't been super into the genre since that time, I've been feeling somewhat nostalgic for these types of games lately. So I started looking for a game to get me back into coaster and theme park building, but the options were unsurprisingly slim, especially given my desire for the game to work with a controller, as I really enjoy games that can be played from the couch or on the go via my Steam Deck. But as luck would have it, I found out that the sequel to the hit game Planet Coaster, appropriately named Planet Coaster 2, was recently released with full Steam Deck and gamepad support. Now, given my time with the original game in its early days, I figured I could expect another good experience going in. So without looking too much into the mixed reviews on Steam, I decided to take the plunge and give the game a shot. Needless to say, given the title of this video, you can probably guess it didn't turn out all that great. And after about 2 hours of messing around in the sandbox mode, I felt like I had seen enough and decided to ask for a refund. So what turned me off? Let's talk about it. Let's start with the controls and menus. Now, I'm not sure if I missed a tutorial option somewhere, but I'm also of the mind that I shouldn't need a tutorial to figure out your game. And I wish I had saved the footage of me first trying to figure this game out on my Steam Deck, because the menu system was immediately a headache to learn and navigate. From using a large number of icons as shortcuts and providing a wide range of sub-options and customizations, there's a lot for the end user to figure out. Take for instance the pathing tool, which confounded me for a while. There are a variety of ways to place paths, but it wasn't immediately obvious to me what the differences were between them. And just seeing the number of menu options available for each left me wanting something simpler in its place. I figured it out eventually and got around to placing some paths, but even that had quirks that I disliked, like the camera following your paths by default, which really gave me a headache, to struggling with leveling out a raised path without affecting the terrain below it. Now, I tried this on both mouse and keyboard as well as controller, and struggled in both situations. I'm sure this is something that I could learn and get used to, and maybe a younger me might have done that. However, where I'm at now is just wanting something that just works, and the pathing tool made me yearn for the simpler mechanics of older RCT games. Also, let's look at the coaster menu. From the jump, I didn't realize I was looking at pre-built coasters and was struggling to make sense of the difference between each option. It was only after trying to select an option that I realized there was a toggle button to the right that allows me to switch between blueprints and custom builds. Like, why not just make it so you pick the type first, rather than needing to specify that I want a custom build? That just doesn't make sense to me. On top of that, needing to hover in and see the appropriate detail of each coaster along with its name is cumbersome and time-consuming to get through. These are again somewhat small usability concerns and things you'll probably get used to over time playing this game, but it still made me miss the easy-to-understand menu systems of previous Roller Coaster Tycoon games. Now, speaking on mechanics, after building a flat ride and a coaster, I was surprised that in order to open them I had to build power generators and connect power supplies to them. This is again something that's not very well explained in the sandbox mode at least, and it took me a while to just figure out how to connect everything properly. But the fact I had to do this at all, especially in the sandbox mode, kind of irked me. It just feels like a tedious and unnecessary addition to the experience. I understand the need for some kind of realism with games like this, but at what point is simulation sacrificing fun? Maybe this is not a big deal to some, but I was going in looking to just have fun creating my own theme park, and not have to worry about utilities or the less fun parts of that process. Again, I prefer the simpler approach of older Tycoon games where power and utilities are assumed as you build, and didn't look forward to having to manage all of these options in my park when, again, I just wanted to have fun. Now, poorly designed menus I can learn to get around, and even the utility mechanics didn't seem like a showstopper in the end. What I think drove me over the edge to return this game was the already apparent reliance on DLC packs to fill it out. Now, as of writing this, the game has been out for less than 2 months, and they already have 2 DLC packs in the store, each over $10. Now, I've seen worse cases of games launching with DLC, but what really annoyed me here was the fact that a simple carousel is not even in the base game and requires one of these DLC packs to unlock. You know, with my home park being Cedar Point, I often try to emulate the midway carousel in my parks that greets people near the entrance, so naturally it was the first thing I looked to build. However, when perusing what flat rides are available in the base game, I was honestly appalled that there wasn't a carousel to place, which is why I went instead with this teacups option, which looks and feels vastly inferior in my opinion. Aside from that omission, the options don't seem terrible, especially for the number of coasters available, and maybe there are ways to unlock more options by just playing the game, but given I was in sandbox mode, I was disappointed with the number of flat rides and, again, appalled with that fact that I need DLC to place a goddamn merry-go-round. So really that was kind of the last nail that put me over the edge to return this game. Now, it seems like there's definitely a solid simulation and theme park builder here, and there does seem to be a lot to like about it. You know, the game's graphics look great, the peeps are as bubbly as ever, and from what I listened to, the soundtrack was pleasing to have on in the background. But these three main issues I had, you know, the menu and interface design, the mechanics, and DLC reliance, these were enough to tell me that the game just isn't for me. It's a game I came into expecting to just hop into and enjoy, but that was far from what I actually experienced in my 2 hours of playing. Now, perhaps maybe I didn't give Planet Coaster 2 a good enough chance. I have somewhat grown impatient with games like this, and you know, maybe I just didn't give it enough time it deserves. I think that's a fair criticism. But again, with where I'm at right now, Planet Coaster 2 just didn't fit the vibe I was looking for. Perhaps in time, if they push more updates to the base game, I'd give it another shot, but for now I'm left wondering where to go from here. I have booted up Roller Coaster Tycoon recently and played a bit of that, but it's also a well-treaded ground for me at this point. Another game that's been on my radar is the somewhat old at this point Parkitect, which looks like a true isometric successor to RCT2. However, as of writing this, I couldn't really get it to work on my Steam Deck, so I'll have to give it a proper try for my desk setup. I've all but given up on my hope of a modern theme park simulator I could play from my couch, which I think was the hardest aspect of Planet Coaster 2 to walk away from, as I really admired how they attempted to make a gamepad setup work here. Now perhaps Parkitect will get a Steam Deck update in time. Maybe there's another studio out there working on a competitor to Planet Coaster. I can only hope. Until then, I guess I'll keep searching for a theme park game to recapture my passion in the genre. But those are just my thoughts, so what are yours? Are you playing Planet Coaster 2 and having fun with it? Are there any other games out there that I'm missing that might help scratch this theme park itch? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.